was to make money. Money to me is gravy. I make it. I do very well. My husband owns a Ferrari that I bought him, so I'm not doing so bad. But the point is that I don't care. It's not my motivation. So if it was down to that I wasn't making that kind of money, I wouldn't care. My richness really truly is for real. When Halle Berry won the Oscar and she called me up and she said, "This is your Oscar too, because it's your ideas on the screen." That meant more to me than actually taking the statue myself or making the kind of money that she makes doing a movie. People being able to grow and be better people, taking their issues and being able to work them out through the script by playing a character and finding their empowerment in their life and not being a victim anymore in their life, as well as the characterization. That's bank to me. That's riches. That is something I could go to my grave, I could be on my deathbed and go, I lived a good life. I don't need to live a rich life. I don't care about that. I really care about my students and your success and who you are as a human being, your involvement as a human being, as well as your success in the business that we're working together on, is my riches. And I'm very rich with that.
Okay, I admire you for that. Okay, Ryan,
Yes,
have
po.
you seen any of the movies ng uncle mo?
Ano po?
Yung series. Have you seen any of the movies ng uncle mo?
Ay, po, of course. Kasi
What's your favorite, ano? You have an idea kung sino ang kanyang favorite actress?
Marisol Soriano po. Kasi, and nagkataon naman, naalala ko pa ba kasi bago siya namatay, binigyan namin siya ng tribute sa UP Film Center. And that tribute po, ako po yung nag-ayos na bago siya namatay, he made 102 films. And 50 of those are, I think 40 of those are from RVQ, and then mostly are from Regal. And ako po sabi ko sa kanya, mostly my favorite are the Dolphy ones and the Maricel Soriano. Then eventually po, siya napunta siya yung kilala sa comedy genre. Then when I started to become a director, I'm in the horror genre. Kaya nakatrabaho ko rin po si Maricel when we did the first Susan Rosa Cineserie Classic, the Florinda po, here in ABS. Yun po.
Kasi I remember, ang first director ni Elizabeth Oropesa, who we should all agree is one of the best actresses we have. Si
Yes po. Yes po, I remember that. The original title po nun, ang sabi niya lang sa akin, just an anecdote. Ang original title niyan, Labas-Masok. Kaya lang, pinigilan sa MTRCB kasi parang bastos daw. Labas-Masok pero may subtitle sa kulungan. And then, nung hinarang ng MTRCB during 1975, that's the first film of Regal, of my mother, ginawa po nilang Kayod sa Umaga, Kayod sa Gabi.
Thank you.
Okay ba?
May question si Jen.
And I'm assuming that system has something to do with the acting technique that you are teaching your students. And if I'm not mistaken, you've mentioned the system is based on science. So I'm assuming that science has something to do with social sciences. And so my question is, when you teach, do you incorporate concepts from disciplines such as, psychology and anthropology and even cultural studies to further strengthen the ground of your actors, to portray truthfully the character that they are supposed to project on the screen and while being on the world being created within the set?
Yes. You said exactly what I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm working with somebody who's playing a part from the 1700s, or when I worked on Vikings. You guys have Vikings here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
I worked with the guy who plays Ragnar Lothbrok, Travis Fimmel, on every episode. And so that's takes place in the 9th century. So I have to understand what was going on there, what the culture was created based on the weather conditions, the agriculture, how they couldn't read or write, but how they communicated without judgment, knowing that they took several sexual partners because that's just what they did. And so it wasn't, we had to, without judgment, take the culture of a time and why the culture was what it was and why they needed to find their way to other lands because their country was so frigid, was so cold, it was hard to do agriculture, so they were forced to have to do this. So there are a lot of interesting things that putting in the science of that and the psychology that surrounds your circumstances, your nuts and bolts circumstances of geography, weather, that creates religion, that creates the god Thor, Freyas, and like all the, they had several gods for different things, for like to create fertility, the god of war, the god of this, the god of that, and then it was all created off of need, and again the science of what all that means. So it's very, I find my job is very fascinating because I learn so much and understanding just the human animal, which we're very complicated and yet we're very simple. What's interesting is this: our needs are simple. How we go after them, our needs, is what makes us complicated and interesting, and it's where culture is formed. So, yes, absolutely, and that's why when people are, well, when I'm dealing with the different things that whatever the parts that I'm working with somebody, it's very, very fascinating and very, very educational, and it creates curiosity.
So definitely, this is done in the spirit of collaboration. So you're basically giving them, you're giving your actors information, or do you expect them to do their own research as well?
I expect us to do this together. I'm just like tomorrow I'm going to be working with someone who just booked a wonderful actor who just booked a lead in a big ABC show, and that's one of the huge networks in America, and so I said, do your homework, do your work, because I want to hear how you see it, so that I would throw in my stuff so it becomes real collaborative. It's a symbiotic process. I'm not directing. I'm not a director. I'm just giving information that creates such a strong and rich and dense foundation that the director can have fun with my actors. Directors love working with my actors because they bring so much. They just have to pick and choose the things that they like. It's a wonderful thing. We're all doing this together. Actors, directors, and writers are telling a story together, and we need to know that we're not separating ourselves. We're doing this as a team, and that's what part of what makes it such a joyous event, because it's not a singular event. We're not doing this in an insular way. We are doing this because you promote me thinking. You provoke my thought. I provoke your thought. And I got further thoughts. Like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? Oh, and then all of a sudden it becomes this like thing. It becomes bigger than both of us. It's wonderful. I have the best job on the planet, just saying.
So all these things are basically done, in the spirit of empowerment, right? So no one is somehow controlling, like in most sets, the final voice, the voice with finality is usually the director. So it's very empowering on the part of your actors if, all these people keep on collaborating and they work as a system.
Yeah, that's nice. It's empowering to the director who is the captain of the ship. I'm married to a director, so I know this. And he's an award-winning director, so I don't step on those kind of toes. But the idea is like to bring the director all kinds of ideas, and a really good director wants to hear them, and then they collaborate their points of view. And I worked with Halle Berry at Monsters Ball, Mark Forrester, a very big-time director. Me and her and him sat on my couch in my living room for 7 hours, went scene by scene by scene, going through his thoughts and her thoughts, my thoughts, and then as a collaboration, ended up with something that everybody was happy with, creating a vision that became Oscar.
Thank you, Ms. Ivanna.
So automatically, they will be given to me for some training and then give some assessment on their strengths and weaknesses. And then, meron din naman pong iba na specific special workshops, like, for example, let's say the unit of Sardeo or the unit of Dreamscape, the unit of, like, for example, just recently I did a sensuality workshop for Sir Rame's unit for a web series. So it depends upon their need. Yun. Then I'll do an assessment for that.
But everybody passes.
No, well, yeah, actually, it's really not graded or what. It depends upon their level, and then eventually I'm more on their strength, and then I will capitalize on that to improve. Yung ako kasi I don't believe in just mere talent. Feeling ko talaga lahat na i-workshop. Basta just to give their time and their heart po. Kahit pa the most wood actor, if they will just give their time and their heart on the work, promise mapapaarte po natin.
Direk, just to clarify so they will understand,
Yeah.
no? The workshops that Direk is talking about is artist workshop. But we have also discovered from our public workshop when he was talking about Alora Sasam and Christian Bables, they actually came from our public workshop. And we've had students that have come from our public workshop trained by using the Ivanna Chubback method.
And not only na ginagamit ng networks, most of our workshoppers nag-audition to, like halimbawa, for example, like I will really say Rocco Nasino of JB7 came from my tutelage, and then Mikey Quintos of some of the even stars of Channel 7 were trained by me first under the public workshop. Bago na sila. See, yung parang, when they auditioned, since they have the technique, they're winning. Like for example, Mika Javier, I talked to the director, Philip Martinez, General Commander of the supposedly junk Steven Seagal series here. And then the director told me that Mika Javier nailed the audition. Kasi may sensuality siya. But she really applied the Chubback technique there.
Kaya po, when we were asking about nakapasa or not, we don't have a grading system. That's why even in our public workshop, we have an intro class. After that, then they get assessed and they can move on to an advanced level 1, then to advanced level 2, and some of them, even at advanced level 1, they can make it already.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
For Ms. Ivanna, my question is, whenever you're having a newcomer student, do you already see a potential, or what are those qualities that you can see that you will say that this student will going to be a big hit in the entertainment industry?
People that aren't afraid to be accessible. The people get into hyper protections and I'm not going to tell you anything, or I'm going to protect that. It's like in the same way that when people are really protective of things, it's really hard to be around them because there's something about a lack of openness that creates kind of like a feeling like they're pushing you away. They're protecting themselves, but it's also pushing you away. So people that are open and accessible and they talk about, and they're open and fine with their exposing themselves as the good, bad, and the ugly, is that those are people that you just know that they're going to be, that the audiences are going to fall in love with them because there's so few people on the planet that are willing to be open. And it's like openness is like very attractive, it's very compelling, and it's rare. And so people are just automatically just like I remember telling Charlize Theron at 19 years old, I said, look, if you're willing to like really, really look at the stuff that your stuff, the things that make you cause other people shame, and you're really willing to put that into the work, you're going to be a big star. And so I said, or you could protect that information, your choice. And she said, I'm in. And she was, and that took like 10 minutes, and she just like blurted all this stuff out. So it was like, okay, we're good. You know, so it's like the thing is, it's just really about openness and accessibility, because most people just feel for whatever reasons that they're protecting is actually working to actually do anything. All it does is makes people want to go away. But you put that wall to keep people from coming in, you know, you're also putting that wall that keeps you from going out. So all of a sudden, you've just taken humanity out of your equation. And so it's the openness.
Yeah, Sir Ryan, my question is, for those students that unable to deliver or can't express easily, what is your technique for them to deliver in your session?
One is I always tell them to, like what Ivanna just said, most important is the vulnerability of the actors. Kasi sa Pilipino, sabi sa kanila, pakahulugan ko ng vulnerability, kailangan bukas ka, basag ka, at wasak ka. So, and kasi doon huhugot eh. And yun yung sinasabi ni Ivanna na yung accessibility and being open. I always start by telling them na kailangan bukas, basag, at wasak ka sa class ko. And this is so private that whatever goes here stays here. And then we will use that. And the technique is all about using pain as a fuel in acting. And all of us do have pains in one way or the other, from childhood to etc. Or even just to your ex or to your girlfriend. Lahat meron nun eh. So dun ako humuhugot sa kanila. So more than pressing them over their weakness and all that, so I inspire them that, see, like for example, let's say recently coming from Joshua or Elmo Magalona or Vin or Aljur, every time we tap on the pain, at minsan sila, nagugulat sila. Saan galing yun? Bakit ako nakaiyak? Bakit ko naramdaman yun? And it's all rooted from the pain that they have, and the openness, and the generosity to share their pain and use it as a fuel in their acting. I think that's the bottom line of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, salamat.
I'm so sorry.